on the bank, you join me on the new syndicate. This is the Overgrown syndicate in the Cotswolds. Mega place, 30 acres, relatively unknown still, quite lightly fished. It is a Friday evening and there are about 5 cars in the car park on 30 acres of water. What an absolute result that is. I did expect it to be busy, but it is relatively underfished, this place, undervalued in a way, and yeah, I really like it. It's a little bit more raw than some of the other places we fish, especially the Phil syndicate, which is quite sort of manicured and quite clean and tidy. Some of the swims on here are just left to themselves, just little cutouts in the reed line. There's some nice sort of laid swims barked out and that, but not many. So anyway, as you might have seen, the van is back on the road. If you want to hear anything or know anything about what's happened to the van and the modifications, upgrades and everything that I've done, then I will sort of try and do a video at some point on it. I absolutely love it. It's come out really well, and I've been able to sort of do it up as I wanted to do originally. So it's turned out pretty nice, to be fair. But anyway, I need to find some fish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the kit out the back of the van straight away. It's all on the van, all on the barrow already. So I'm going to get the kit out, get on the move, have a walk around, see if I can find some, and hopefully by taking the kit with me, it's going to save me a bit of time. So it's already 8:30 on the evening. It's going to be getting dark soon, so I really do need to look at trying to get some rods out pretty sharpish. So anyway, let's get the kit out of the van, let's get on the move, let's go and find some fish. Right, we are off, and I'm going down the sort of what I call a more natural bank, because I've looked at the weather app. Oh, rabbit. And it looks like there's a big weather front coming in the morning, big thunderstorm. And what I'm thinking is the fish might get on it. Looks like there's a decent wind coming in, and it's basically going to push down to the bank on this side, sort of more down to the bottom end. So if I don't see anything on my walk around now, the next best thing is to try and get in somewhere with it in mind that the weather front might come in and bring the fish with it. Look at that. Your bivvy can go up in there, tucked out the way, with your little brolly. I've got my little brolly today. And there's your swim. How lush is that? And this is what I like about them. Although they are swims and they are opened up for swims, they're about as natural as you can get, really. They've not really done much. They've literally just cut an opening, put a bit of wood at the front just to reinforce the bank, and job's a good one. Yeah, just looking a bit overgrown. Yeah, someone in there is leaving to it. Flatten it with a barrow. Down at all. Right, the light levels are going. As you can see, the kit is still on the barrow. I've been walking around for quite some time now, but I have finally found some fish, and they are mega close range along this bank. So I'm round in what I swim 7, and looking at it, if I step back a bit so you get a good view, I don't think the swim has been fished for a while. That is it there, completely overgrown, and the fish are literally showing in front of it, maybe 2-3 rod lengths out, really close in. There's been a few cruising through as well, but it looks like it hasn't been fished for a long time, so I might have to flatten it down a little bit to get some rods in here nicely. But it looks proper carpy, really nice. This is the kind of fishing I was looking for on here, sort of a bit more sort of raw and sort of overgrown, and having to fish for the fish where they are instead of just spot fishing. Don't get me wrong, spot fishing is probably going to work on here, but I've seen some fish showing in really close, so I'm literally going to just lower some rods in, see if I can find some presentable areas, lower a couple of rods in, and just put a handful of bait over each one. Basically eat like catapult range, and see if we can get a bite off of that. The weather's meant to come in the morning, so I'll probably fish through that weather, see if anything happens, and if nothing happens, I have potentially got tomorrow night as well, so I might then move and then give myself a bit more time to maybe have a good look around again, maybe look at some of the open water swims, see if there's any fish about there, and maybe look at sort of, you know, fishing a different area altogether if this doesn't pay off. But there's definitely been some fish along here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start unloading that little kit there. Let's get a couple of rods in and let's see if we can have one of these mega scaly Cotswold carp. Well, morning then. So unfortunately it was an uneventful night. I did hear a couple of fish show. One of them sounded really good, showed sort of right down into the bay, quite far to my right, really lumped out, and sort of got the confidence pretty high, to be fair, but it's not materialised. It's about sort of 8:30, 9 o'clock now, so we've had a load of rain this morning. It's just drizzling at the moment, and it's probably going to end up raining quite a bit again. We've got a couple of storms coming through up until maybe sort of midday, so I'm probably going to hold out until sort of the midday period in this swim just to see if anything does come of it. Now, I didn't film anything last night, and the reason for that is I'm fishing quite close in. I wanted to keep things down to a minimum. I didn't want to make too much disturbance, and essentially filming in the dark, you've got to use lights, you've got to have a big light source, and it was just going to create so much disturbance. I thought I might put the fish off or push them out of the area, so I thought instead of messing around filming, I'll just get the rods out, get fishing, and obviously update you in the morning like I am now. So what I did was basically I had a quick lead around. I found that there's a big bank of weed in the margin, and it seems to drop down into quite deep water, and basically what I've done is just fish sort of at the bottom of that drop off or just past that drop off, and then I've got 3 rods sort of dotted along in a line, and then I've just put a spread of boilie. I've put maybe about 150 baits or thereabouts, a mix of 18s and 50mm dumbbells in bug. I've just spread them through, and I fished 2 rods on the hardened 80mm bottom baits, S7. They're on the Ronnie claw rigs, and then the Ronnie flipper rigs, and then the other rod is on a standard Ronnie with an 80mm bug pop-up. I'm using big baits mainly because of crayfish. It just means there's a bit more food there that they have to get through if they do get on the baits, and I'm also feeding in 18mm, so it almost matches what I'm putting in. So yeah, that's what I did. Like I said, it's not paid off. I haven't really seen much show this morning, but to be honest, the weather's been so grim, it's been actually hard to really see anything. So I'm going to try and spend as much time as I can at the front of the swim watching the water and see if anything shows. If I don't really see anything in here, I'm definitely going to look at moving. So all my kit is pretty up together. I've already got the barrow sort of loaded. I've left it pretty much loaded up. I've just got my rucksack in here and a few essentials. So everything else has just been left on the barrow. So it's just going to be a case of packing down the brolly, putting the bed chair on the barrow and getting on the move. So we can move nice and quickly. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we do have a bite in there and I haven't got to mess around chasing them. But if not, we'll get on the move and we'll see if we can find a few fish. So anyway, I'm going to have probably a drink and watch the water, and I will catch up with you in a bit. Right, well, I've been stood at the front of the swim here for quite a lot this morning in between the rain. We're actually starting to get a bit of rain coming in again now, so I might not have long to tell you what's been going on, but there's been a little group of fish cruising around in this bay. They're not very big, and they're not really showing any interest in food. I've put a little bit of broken boilie just down the left-hand margin, and they've just been swimming over it, showed absolutely no interest. I think the spot I'm fishing is so deep that I just don't think there's any fish down at that depth. I don't think they're showing any interest in it at all. A really good fish did show last night down in the bay to my right. I might have already mentioned that, but there's definitely some better fish in here, but I don't think they're here anymore. I've not really seen anything bigger. It just seems to be a little pack of smaller commons. Because they're showing no interest in feeding, it's probably not worth me staying. I prefer to catch them a bit bigger than them as well, because they are quite small fish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for this storm that's just starting to come through. I'm going to let that pass, and then I'm going to get reeled in, get on the move, and see if we can find some fish elsewhere. I think I need to look maybe for some shallower water, an area in which the fish are going to feel more comfortable to be in this conditions. It's very muggy, very warm. Even though we've got some rain and that and some storms, it is so warm and muggy. I think I might do a circuit, go around this way, because I've not been up that bank yet. Although it's a noisy bank, I might go along there, see if I can see anything showing, and then if not, I might go around right down the other end again onto the wind and just have a look on the wind for a bit and see if there's any fish showing down there. So that's the plan of attack. But I'll leave them for a bit, let this rain pass through, and then we'll get reeled in, get on the move, and see if we can find some elsewhere. Right, just going to bring the rods in. I'm going to bring them all in one go, save me having to keep wading out. This one was really close in. Oh, now here comes the rain. Yeah, that one was fishing as well. Oh, and that one was fishing, so no craze. Ended up getting caught in a shower. Oh well, right, I'm going to try and see if we can get down here. Right, well, I've done near enough a full lap of the lake now. I came from, let's see if I can show you, I came from all the way over there, and I've had to go all the way down that bank, all the way back around, and all the way up this bank along here. I've currently got the barrow just hidden up underneath the tree line, and I'm stood underneath this bank of trees here, where it's a bit of shelter, and I'm literally just watching the water. The wind's coming in here absolutely lovely. It looks really nice for it. If I was turning up to a lake like this and there was a wind like this on it, I 100% would be looking at getting in on this wind. I mean, I think big pit fish follow the conditions and follow the wind. But since being here, I've not actually seen anything show. On my walk around, I saw a fish show off of the point of this island, but that is covered by the cracked end swim. And there's someone in there. I actually found the guy's spod. He cracked off yesterday evening, or this morning it might have been. I found his spod and I've just returned it to him. Right, so I am back in the car park. I am back at the van. The barrow is still loaded though. I'm not going home yet. I am still doing tonight. But basically, I've just been chatting to a couple of guys that have been fishing, a father and son, and they gave me some really good information. So if you are watching this, guys, thanks a lot for having a chat to me and giving me a bit of information. They've been on here since the start, so they've obviously known way more than what I do about the lake. They've actually given me some pretty good information actually in terms of where a lot of the fish getting caught from, and they seem to be getting caught from a few sort of particular swims. Now, one swim in question, I actually saw a fish show out off of one of the islands in front of the swim. It's the only fish that I've seen show in all the time I've been walking. I packed down about 2 o'clock. It's now 5 o'clock, so a good 3 hours or so walking around looking. And yeah, I've only seen one show, but it was out in front of a swim one of the guys was fishing. Now, they're actually packing up and going home. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to head round to that swim, and I'm going to have a little look in there and see if I can maybe find a few spots. Apparently it's quite a productive swim. It does produce quite a few fish, and the guy that was fishing it, he's done really well in there over the last few seasons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on my feet, get the barrow moving, get round to that swim, and let's see if we can actually catch one of these fish, because at the moment it's getting a bit tricky and I need to get one under my belt. So let's get on the move, let's go and make it happen. It's not too deep. Again smooth. Very silty. Right, I've been casting out towards the island, and I found a really nice area. It drops down lovely, you get a lovely donk, and the bottom just feels like almost like pea shingle, and then it hits a bank of weed. It feels like a really nice spot. It's not really close to the island either, and it's got a reasonable bit of depth. It's not really deep. It's I don't know, I'd probably say it's about 8 foot going off of the drop. Like, you can feel the lead down, maybe 10 foot at the most, but it doesn't feel that deep at all, to be honest, which is kind of what I want. Oh, it goes down so nice. You get about half, where I've clipped it, I've got about half a rod length of clear, and then it hits the bank of weed. So I'm going to cast a bit right and left just to see how big it is. It might just be like a channel going through the weed potentially, but it feels really nice. Right, well, you can probably hear it's absolutely pouring down. I've literally just quickly got the brolly set up. I literally found a spot, I was wrapping it up and just letting it out to check it was all bang on. And I thought it seems to be getting really dark, and looked overhead and this huge black cloud was coming in, clearly absolutely full of rain, and it's just absolutely started emptying it on me. It is absolutely lashing down. So I managed to get, luckily, the brolly up before it started. I've just been sat underneath the brolly and it is just absolutely pouring down. I'll turn the camera around and you can have a look and see what I mean. This is insane! Look at it! Absolutely hammering it down. It's been raining for a good half hour now. Absolutely bucking it down like this. I've not been able to do anything. Absolutely nuts. At this rate, I'll be getting the rods out when it's dark. Right, the rain has finally passed, so I am getting a rod out finally. It's about 7 o'clock. Standard leg clip. I'm using a snowman setup on a Ronnie. Just something a little bit different. I've got a hardened hook bait and then a piece of yellow plastic on top of there to avoid the craze. That's going to just sit on the bottom above the hook, hopefully ready to get nailed. And I'm fishing this out on quite a nice clear area towards the island. It's actually quite far off the island, but it's out in that direction of the end of the island. So let's get her out there. I think that might be a little bit too left. Always check the hook point when you're casting again, just in case you've damaged the point on the way out. Sorry, on the way in. That feels good. Right, I've got a really high set of bank sticks, because I've got a load of weed in front of me, absolute loads of it. Alright, it's not ideal because you end up with a line lay up really high, but it does keep the lines out of the weed, which is what I want. Right, sorted. There you go then, there's the mix. I've got a mix of boilies, some 8mm, 18mm and 15mm dumbbells, a little bit of the matching S7 and bug pellet. I've just given it a glaze of the hydro, spod syrup and bug, and a little bit of hemp oil. Not too much, just enough to glaze it all. Right, so these are the two rods going out on the close-in spot. I've just wrapped them all up, they're ready to go out. So I'm going to fish one of them on my standard Ronnie with a 15mm bug hook bait. You might be wondering why I'm not using that anti-cray bait. Well, that's because the spot's really silty, and last night I fished in silt and didn't get any issues with the crays. The other rod though is an anti-cray bait, hard hooker bottom bait, and a plastic pop-up topper to act as a snowman. So nice and simple, both on leg clips. I'm going to flick them out and hopefully we'll actually have a bite. I chucked that way too hard. Oh my Jesus Christ. I've literally just blunted the hook. Right, this is a snowman. It is quite a big bait. It might be a bit too big for on here, possibly. I need to get some smaller hard hookers on order. Right. Right then, we are finally fishing. I've decided to drop into the crack den, which is affectionately called that because of that old abandoned building behind me there. But yeah, I've decided to drop in here. Now there was a guy in here last night and he didn't catch anything, but after a good walk around, I spent a good 3 hours looking, didn't really see much. The only show I did see, I think, was out in front of here. I also spoke to the guy that was in here and his dad, who was next door a few hundred yards down the bank to the left. And they gave me some really good information, and had a really good chat to them about these swims and the lake in general, and kind of gave me the confidence to drop into this swim. So it looks like this tends to produce bites quite close in and early morning, so the guy that was fishing here said. So I have actually found a spot close in, only about 9 wraps out, put a little bit of bait over the top of it, and then I found another one further out in the direction of the island, which is sort of about 20 wraps or so, a little bit further out into the pond. So we'll see what happens. I'm feeling relatively confident, although I have caused an absolute disturbance getting things sorted. I've thrashed the water to a foam. I've then put a load of bait in. I've had a few issues along this way as well. I've had a few things go wrong, as always. It's been a little bit of a disaster, I'm not going to lie, but the rods are fishing and I'm happy. So the next thing is I absolutely need to get some food inside me. I'm so hungry right now, and I also need to crack open a cider. So let's go and get that done, and hopefully sometime in the night or in the early hours I'll be showing you a banging Cotswold carp. Right, well, this is not the end that I intended, as you can probably guess. I am now at home, and unfortunately it's a few days on from that session. Essentially what happened is I got the rods all sorted. We had a massive thunderstorm. It did pass through eventually, but I ended up getting an emergency phone call off the missus. She ended up being really, really ill, to the point where I nearly phoned an ambulance for her. She nearly passed out, or felt like she was going to pass out. She was feeling really, really rough, and obviously wouldn't be able to look after Parker. Now at the time it was obviously quite early in the hours. He was in bed, so he was all right at the time, but I had to quickly pack down, chuck everything on the barrow, get back to the van, and then race back to obviously take over and be able to help out if he woke up. So yeah, it was an absolute disaster, to be honest, to end the session. I thought there might have been a chance of an early bite, but as it stands, it's probably 3 or 4 days on from that session. She is actually in bed at the moment, so I probably shouldn't be so loud, but she's still in bed at the moment and still not feeling great at all. Parker's also in bed for an afternoon nap, so I've had a little bit of a chance to do a bit of editing, so I'm just trying to get this video finished now. But yeah, it's been an absolute disaster of a few days, to be fair. So yeah, not the way I planned it to end, but anyway, hopefully you do like the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, get on the bank, be lucky, and I'll see you next week, hopefully in a session that ends in a fish. Be nice, wouldn't it? See you then.